Hey guys, it's Johnny and welcome to episode 43 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here today with Derek Pankaew.
Hello, this is Derek.
What's up, Derek? So he's the newest member of the Dropship Army we've built here in Chiang Mai, or the Entrepreneur Army.
Yes.
So you're originally from San Francisco and you've been out in Chiang Mai for how long?
I've been here for 3 months.
Okay, cool. Actually, no, correction. So Paige Dobkin is the newest member, but she just arrived and she's not profitable yet. So hopefully we'll have her on a future episode. But Derek is the I guess the newest profitable guy making actually money. But you've been out here for, you said 3 months?
3 months.
Okay. And you were working on something else before, so you had some kind of info product and it wasn't going as well as you were hoping, or how did this all come about?
Yeah, so I had an info product that I was publishing with a couple other partners, and we've been working on it for a while, like over a year, and sometimes it looks like it's doing really well, but we never really got it to the point where like I've never taken more than like $1,000 in a month out from that project.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just put in so much effort into it, and it just doesn't feel like it's taking off.
And so I met Derek working on PunSpace, and I saw him working tons of hours. I mean, you would literally work, morning till night, and I see you on weekends and on Sundays working. So you definitely have the work ethic for it. And I think a lot of people, they kind of fall into the trap of making info products because it seems so glamorous. It seems like, it could be like this cool $1 million business. But I would say realistically, most info products don't actually take off.
Yeah, and I think the skew of success is enormous. Like there's like 2% of businesses that are making a lot of money in info products, but the vast majority are not.
And I think it's because when you sell an info product, you need to convince people that they need your product and then to buy your product. While with a dropshipping store, all we're doing is we're finding products that people want to buy anyways, and we're just giving them a medium to buy it.
Yeah, you just need to be the most trustworthy resource instead of like actually trying to create desire.
And which is 1,000,000 times easier, right?
Right.
So so the reason why I have you on the show this week is actually because when I was interviewing Michael Coughlin, he kept mentioning not only his own success, but everyone sitting at the same table at PunSpace. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about PunSpace 1,000,000 times, but it's the co-working space that we're all a member of in Chiang Mai. And, people kind of just from all around the world. I mean, a lot of Americans there, some Australians, some Europeans, and basically everyone just hangs out there. And a lot of people are either graphic designers or programmers, or they do all sorts of things. But just very recently do we have basically a whole table of people doing dropshipping stores. Mm-hmm. And Derek, actually, how did you get into that? Like, what was the story behind it?
I think, what was the story behind it? I think I was just feeling kind of frustrated with my current project, and then I listened to a few of your podcasts, and I was like, Johnny looks like he's doing really well. let me take Johnny out to lunch and see, what he's up to. And then he recommended the Anton method, and so basically one day I was like, okay, my business partner is going to be out of town for a few weeks. I have some free time. I'm just going to jump straight into it. So set a goal for myself to make the first sale within a month, purchase the course, and then just jumped right in.
So I think first off, thank you for lunch. That was nice of you. Because, a lot of people ask me questions all the time, and I'm happy to help out whenever I can. And I'm, even if you didn't pay for my lunch, I would have happily, went out and gave you the advice anyways. But I think a big difference between people who are successful in life and the people that end up not being successful is the people that kind of see the value of good advice. Mm-hmm. And, just that $5 lunch, that you paid for, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I really want to go out of my way to help Derek because he's grateful for the advice versus someone else who, will pick my brain for an hour and then not do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So even that $5 investment, and, in the grand scope of things, that's nothing. You made back so much more than that already. But it's kind of just like a token of, hey, I'm serious about this. I know that this is valuable. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you brought to the table a lot of other web skills that most people that get into dropshipping don't have. I had some blogging experience. I would say Michael didn't have any web experience at all. He had some experience writing because he was a freelance writer on Odesk. Paige, she has experience with maybe Facebook, maybe Twitter. That's about it. So most of us have almost no web experience, and that's why it took us so long to make our first sale. It took us on average 2 to 3 months to make our first sale. But you started how long ago?
I started about 5 weeks ago.
Okay, and how long after that 5 weeks did you make your first sale?
3 weeks.
So it took you only 3 weeks, which is less than half the time of me and almost everyone else. I think it's because you have all these other web skills that you kind of brought into it. I mean, what do you think your idea is on that?
Yeah, I think that definitely helped a lot. The biggest ones were probably Photoshop and CSS, just kind of being able to put together the site quickly. And also, I think, just like working a lot of hours. Like,
at the end of the day, I think that is it, because I still don't know CSS or how to program, and I still don't know Photoshop. So definitely those aren't required. Those are things where you can just hire someone on Fiverr to do for you. The only problem with that is you have to wait 2 or 3 days for them to get back to you with your logo. Versus if you can just make it in Photoshop yourself, then you could just have it up that day.
Yeah.
But you definitely put in a ton of freaking hours. I mean, like, how many hours were you actually working? How many days a week were you working?
I think realistically, I was working probably about 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for the first 3 weeks.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. I mean, and oftentimes it'd be like, like on Wednesday nights, there's a dinner here, and I'd work from maybe like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., go eat dinner, and then everyone else is going out for drinks, and then I'm going back to the office to call suppliers from like 11 to 3 or something.
And has it been worth it?
Yeah, for sure. Totally.
Okay. But did you ever have any doubt in your mind that it would work?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
All right, tell me about that.
Well, I mean, just like, let's see. When I picked this market, and there was a week where I had launched and I kind of messed up on my Google ads and ended up spending a lot of money on mobile ads that I didn't realize I was paying for. And I didn't get any sales, and I was like, I'm not sure if people actually buy this product online. And like on Amazon, there's not that many people buying. So yeah, I definitely had doubts.
Was it more of the niche itself or dropshipping itself? I mean, what were your actual specific doubts?
Yeah, I think the niche itself, I had doubts with. And yeah, dropshipping itself, I think had a little bit of. I had trust that you're making it work. I've met Anton. I've met other people who are making it work. But I've also met people who they stopped doing it and they're not making money from it. So I'm like, I don't know which one I'm going to be. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So now that you've made some sales, so it's been 2 weeks since you made your first sale, mm-hmm. and you've made how much in sales already? $9,145. And that is fantastic. I mean, for a website being 2 weeks old, that is incredible. So now, do you have any doubts?
No, I'm all in.
So, I mean, knowing that now, the people that didn't make it work, what do you think the big reasons are?
I think most of them just either didn't stick with it, or they tried some variation of the Anton method where, I've met several people who are like, yeah, I'm doing this thing, but it's instead of like Anton recommends $200 to $1,000. So like, I'm doing this like $40 thing. It's like, okay, Yeah,
I keep telling people like if you spend $500 on Anton's training course, just follow his freaking directions. If you're gonna go out and you're gonna watch his videos and be like, oh, that makes sense, but let me do it my way instead, or let me do it this different way, then it's kind of it might work, but it's not really charted. It's not like uncharted territories. Mm-hmm. And so I've always told people, I'm like, at least in the beginning, just follow his exact instructions, because even if you are somehow smarter than Anton and the 50 other people who have made it work, actually 500 other people who made it work, why not just follow the directions so 100% guaranteed those steps work, and then after that you can test it. You can A/B split test and be like, okay, well, my idea was to do it this way instead. Is that going to work? Versus trying to do all this stuff in the first place and not knowing if it's going to work or not. Mm-hmm. But why do you think that mentality is, that people want to do it differently or their own way?
I don't know, actually.
Like, are you the type that you just like, I'm going to follow directions? Because you have tons of experience making products and websites. Mm-hmm. But when you followed his course, at least from what I saw, you kind of just followed what he said.
Pretty much. I mean, I think... I'm really new to e-commerce and dropshipping, so I think just following the directions of you and Anton is pretty much what was my intention. And we kind of did that in info products as well. We found the most successful guy we could find and had him kind of coach us through the process. And I think like innovation, it's definitely better to not innovate when you don't really know what you're doing.
It sounds so silly, right? Like if you don't know what you're doing, you've never done it before, just follow the instructions of how to do it instead of, you know, going off your own trying to take shortcuts. And I think that's exactly what it is, to be honest. It's not that people, you know, don't want to do the method or don't think it's going to work. I think in their back of their mind, they think that they are smarter. They know a faster, easier way to do it. They want to take a shortcut. And trust me, guys, every time I've ever taken a shortcut in my life, it's taken 3 times as long to get there. Mm-hmm. So if you are going to do Anton's course, just follow his directions, because everyone, like I swear, every single person I know who actually followed the directions and actually put in the time and stuck it out has made money from it. And just at PunSpace right now, how many people are, you know, making a pretty damn good living just doing that?
I think there's 5 right now, right?
Yeah. And, you know, and it's like, and then there's, I mean, it's literally 5 out of 5 people who have been doing it for more than a month. Mm-hmm. You know, and that kind of just speaks actions. I would say, you know, a big part of it is, you know, people are surrounded by other people who, you know, who are successful doing it. So it makes it a lot easier to know it works, you know, because mm-hmm. I'm sure if you didn't meet me and Anton in person, you would have even more doubts. Right?
I think that's really important. Like we haven't spent a whole lot of time together on my store, like probably less than 2 hours in total. But like the things, like even just like in passing, when I showed you my site in the beginning, you're like, this is really ugly. And you're like, delete the background. Like if I hadn't been next to you, I would have launched with that site and it probably wouldn't be working right now.
But at the same time, you could have just Facebook messaged me. I would have replied, hey, this is really ugly. Like mm-hmm. redo it.
Right.
So design matters a lot. And I didn't really believe this before, but now I know how important it is. So now when I look at a site, you know, I just say, you know, just spend an hour or spend. I mean, how actually did you make it yourself or did you outsource it?
I made it myself. And then after the first sale, I had a friend who's a designer look over it with me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in the beginning, I did it myself.
Okay, and how long did that take you to do?
It probably took me half a day to do the really ugly design, and then I deleted everything and started over, and took another like half a day to do the new site.
Okay, but you know what? It's one of those things you just have to do. It's just, you know, it's work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely don't want people thinking this is some kind of like overnight success, because I would say even though it only took you 3 weeks to make your first sale, you put in, you know, 2 months worth of work, mm-hmm. You know, versus someone who has a 9-to-5 job and kind of just does it on their free time, right? Mm-hmm. So besides your site being ugly, I want to take it back to that first lunch that we sat down at. Uh-huh. So you don't have to give away your actual niche itself, but I remember one of the big questions you had for me was niche selection. Mm-hmm. So how did you come up with that niche?
So I made a list of about 100 potential markets before I chose this one. And I was looking at things like price, the competition, how much search volume there is, all kinds of stuff. This particular market, I actually saw a similar product in a coffee shop, and I was like, I wonder if people buy that thing. So yeah.
And how did you determine if people buy it or not?
Honestly, I think I didn't. I think I would do it differently today, but what I did back then was I looked at how much search volume there was in the Google keyword tool. Today, I would probably check Amazon as well to see how many reviews products have and how they're ranked in Amazon. But yeah, it was primarily based on like, okay, there's over 10,000 searches a month for this product, and so. Yeah.
It definitely makes sense. So the keyword planner tool is a free tool by Google that just allows people to, you know, see what people are searching for. Mm-hmm. It definitely does work. I personally have actually never used it for my e-commerce stores, because I kind of just look at products and ask myself, you know, are people buying this or not? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty common sense to tell. Like, I mean, I would say if you look at a product, like let's say this podcast mic. Now, obviously, people are buying it, but maybe it's not that many because it's so specialized. So how could I figure out, you know, if enough people are buying it versus, if we're being worth it. Is only one person buying it per month, or are there 100 people buying it per month?
Mm-hmm.
And the easiest way to tell that is go on Amazon and look how many reviews there are.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's even 10 reviews, that means, and only like 1 out of 10 people even leave a review when they buy it, that means at least 100 people are buying this mic. And obviously this company's doing well, Audio-Technica, so they're not, they're not out of business. So, chances are if they're going to buy it from Amazon, they're also buying it from other sources, which means they could buy it from Johnny's podcast, Mike's Emporium.com, which would be a terrible name, by the way.
Yeah.
Actually, so one of the tips that you actually mentioned about naming your store was what?
Right. So in Google product link ads, which is my primary traffic source, and I think for a lot of our stores is the primary traffic source, there's a limit to how many characters you can have and that displays in Google before it's cut off by a ... So I kind of did a little study of how many characters you can have in the name, and basically you can have up to 13 characters. If it's over 13 characters, you get cut off. So for me, I wanted to put the name of the niche into the name itself so that it kind of stands out in the link ads. So the example I used was Bunsen burners. Like, would I rather buy from sciencestuff.com or from bunsonworld.com? I'd probably, if I'm looking for a Bunsen burner, I'd rather go to Bunsen World. And I'd put that in the name itself so that people would see it in the search engines when they're searching.
And that's a great tip for everyone, especially with, kind of the method that we're doing is, one of the things that you'll learn in Anton's course is basically the way that you compete against big companies like Overstock and Amazon is by creating a specialty niche store. It's kind of like you can buy cheese from Costco or from, any kind of big box store, even Whole Foods, you can buy cheese there. But the reason why a lot of like specialty cheese stores exist and do well is because people go there knowing that, hey, this is going to be a place where they know what they're talking about. They obviously only, put the good quality brands in there. It's the same thing as wine. Like, you can buy wine from Costco or from these big box stores. But the reason why these small wine stores exist is because people want specialty niche stores.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And, with dropshipping stores, the exact same way. So that's kind of... That answers the biggest question that people always ask is, why do people buy from your store versus Amazon? But in your personal experience, why do you think people are buying from you and not from Amazon?
I think, first of all, some people have questions. Like, the product does require some assembly. It's a relatively high-ticket purchase. And you can't really call Amazon and ask them about, like, how do I put this together? And I also think people are they just prefer to buy this particular product from a specialty store.
But I think that's almost everywhere. I mean, like, if I was buying a podcast mic and I'm just starting, I probably have a bunch of questions. And I know Amazon has good customer service, but they're not, if I call, they're not going to know anything about podcast mics. Like if I asked them, like a question saying, can I use this on a MacBook with 2 mics?
Right.
They're not going to know that because they've never experienced that before. The guy that answers the phone probably knows everything about shipping and returns, but he doesn't know anything about the actual product besides what he can read. But if I bought it from, Johnny's podcast, Mike Emporium, that's not actually my store, by the way. But, obviously, I know a lot about those podcast mics because that's all I sell.
Right.
And it just, even if I didn't have a specific question, I just feel like I'd be more comfortable buying from them. And I really think that people enjoy supporting mom and pop shops. It's one of those things where, like, not everyone wants to, because Amazon's a great company, but they are quickly becoming the next Walmart. I mean, they're another big behemoth store. And what a lot of people don't realize is actually Amazon doesn't make most of their money through selling products. They make it through these kind of back-end services now. And so they make more money through... So first, instead of them, hosting and selling their own products, they're becoming like an eBay where, tons of people can sell their own products through Amazon's platform. So even though it seems like Amazon's the one, selling it, it's really coming from just, random other stores. And that's why actually nice for us because we can sell through Amazon. Have you actually signed up for Amazon product listing ads yet?
I have. I haven't made any money from them.
The bad thing about Amazon is they take so much money for those ads.
Yeah.
But the good thing is when people do click on it, generally it converts pretty well because people are on there to buy stuff. Mm-hmm. So I would let it run a little bit longer, but some niches just sell better than others on it. And I think a lot of it has to do with, it depends on how good the suppliers on Amazon are for that niche. Mm-hmm. If there's suppliers, a lot of suppliers already selling on Amazon, then it's usually not profitable.
Yeah.
But if there's not a great selection on there, then they will come and buy through you. Mm. Right. So you're leaving Chiang Mai soon.
I am leaving Chiang Mai in pretty much exactly 24 hours.
That's cool. And where are you going?
I'm going to Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam.
To Saigon. So I just got back there from a few months ago. Did you listen to that episode?
I listened to the Chiang Mai versus Saigon episode. I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's it. I don't remember what episode that was, but I think you'll like it. Especially you're a lot younger and you're single. You'll have fun out there, but I hate it out there.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm excited.
All right, but let me know how it goes. Was this always a plan to go there, or was this something recent?
Honestly, I don't really plan my travels. I was in the Philippines and kind of heard that Chiang Mai is a giant hub for online marketers. So I was like, okay, I'll go there. And then I got here and a lot of people were talking about Saigon as well. So I was like, okay, I'll check that out. I'll go there for a couple months and then come back here for the retreat.
Okay. So you're going to be back in October?
Yeah, I'll be back in October.
Okay, cool. What made you want to time for that retreat?
Just wanting to meet other people who are successful doing the same thing.
Okay. So for those who don't know, so Anton has been on the episode a couple of times, and on one of them, I think when we were down in Koh Lanta, down on the beach, he randomly announced that he's going to have a dropship lifestyle retreat, and he's going to invite all the members of the course out to Chiang Mai, and he was going to rent a big house, and we're all going to live there, and basically have like a very informal, working session in the living room. So he announced it, and originally he was just going to pay for the whole thing, but then 50 people signed up, and he was like, we can't get a house that big. So now he's renting a hotel conference room, and he's actually still going to pay for all that. But he's kind of closed off the registration because he's booked all the venue, and he has like a kind of a cap. So now I think he's charging $300 for the retreat, which I think actually is still a good deal because normally these things are expensive.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah.
I think they're normally like at least a couple $100 or maybe $1,000.
Paid up to $2,000 for.
You actually paid $2,000 for these?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
That was the Zentrepreneur event by Mind Valley.
Okay. And what you get out of that?
It's actually, so they gave, you have a year-long Facebook group to interact with the participants, and once a year you get together in a tropical location. I think that one was in Mexico near Cancun. And yeah, I mean, he runs $100 million company, so he has like a really, really cool mastermind group. Okay. And
was that worth it?
I would say it was worth it.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, this one's $300 and it comes with lunch.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's cool. So that's in October, and basically a ton of people. I think right now there's more than 50 people who have signed up. And what the best thing about it is that for the people not making money yet, so they just started, they just got, they just signed up, they went to antonmethod.com, they, put in their details, they watched the first video, and they're like, okay, I have 2 months to make my first sale. And it looks, a lot of people, they don't want to come unless, they can use the money from the store, the profits from the store to come, which I absolutely think is a good idea. Mm-hmm. I think that if anyone, right now it's July, August, everyone has 2 or 3 months to make it work. Mm. And I really think that if someone actually puts their heart down to it, you can definitely do it. Because out of all the people that I've met who have done it, it's on average it's been 2 months. And guys like Derek, have made their first sale in 3 weeks. Mm. So it's definitely possible. But what I like about it as well is since, Thailand is so far, a lot of people have decided they're like, hey, if I'm going to go out there anyways, I might as well just live there for a few months. Yeah. So that's why right now, this month, Michael moved out here, Ben moved out here, Paige moved out here, Chris moved out here, and then his wife got pregnant, so they're moving back. Shout out to Chris, by the way, who's making good sales as well. And I think a lot of people are going to come for that retreat and then stay as well. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to be in Chiang Mai around that time. Yeah, it's going to be killer. And I really think that the month, starting, literally right now until that time, more people are going to show up as well. And I really think we're just going to take over PunSpace and just create this like entrepreneur army. Yeah. And what's cool about it is, you know, we kind of all help each other, you know, because I told Derek today, I said, okay, even though I have a year head start with you in e-commerce and I'm teaching you all these things, you know, for your store, like it's ugly or move this here, move that there, you know, and things that I know are going to make your store convert better, make more sales. I'm 100% sure that, you know, very shortly, you're going to start, you know, basically passing me with knowledge. And you're going to say, hey, Johnny, you know, I have these new ideas that I think will make your store do better too. And the difference is if you were just some guy online that I never met, I don't know if I'd want, you know, I wouldn't see you all the time. I wouldn't, you know, have you right next to me. But now that you are sitting next to me, it makes it so much easier for me to just show you my store and be like, hey, can you, you know, like, what do you think about this? Or how do I do this? And, you know, it's been this kind of, have you had that experience with everyone just at the co-working space?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I don't share what my market is online. But like, yeah, with people that I know, it's really valuable to have people look at my store. Michael actually looked at my store, and the next day I changed some stuff on my checkout page, and it was that day that I made my first sale. So
nice.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more trust with like people you actually know, people you consider your friends. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, and I definitely agree that, you know, when you know someone in person, it's 100% different than, you know, someone on a forum or something. I think, you know, the reason why people feel like they know me so well is these podcasts are kind of like having a conversation with someone every week for an hour. And I probably talk to, you know, you guys more than I do like my sister or like my best friends, you know, back home, because I don't have time to hop on Skype for an hour every week to talk to people. But these podcasts are fun. So, you know, for everyone listening, you know, it's such an easy way to kind of get to know someone's personality, you know, kind of week by week. And I know it was the exact same way when I started out. And there was nobody around me who was an entrepreneur. I would listen to the Tropical MBA podcast, which used to be the Lifestyle Business podcast. And those guys were like my best friends, even though I had never met them.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, hearing other entrepreneurs who have actually made it or are successful talk about, you know, different business things, you know, every week. And that gave me kind of the motivation. So I'm kind of hoping it's the same thing for you guys listening at home. What are some podcasts that you listen to?
Yeah, so they've actually changed significantly since I got into dropshipping, because I kind of realized I don't really know much about e-commerce, so I pretty much signed up for all the e-commerce ones I could find. So e-commerce Fuel, My Wife Quit Her Job, Ezra Firestone's, yeah, Tropical MBA, yours, your might be missing one or two. I've always loved Planet Money, which is more like economics.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those are.
Yeah, I think podcasts are a fantastic way to, you know, for people to spend their time. I mean, basically, instead of listening to music, the same top 40 every single week on the radio when you're driving in the car, just listen to a podcast. And, you know, I don't really have to sell you guys on podcasts, because for you guys listening, I'm sure you guys are already hooked on it. But it's surprising how many people in the world still never listen to podcasts. And if you guys don't watch Shark Tank yet, that's another great idea. It's instead of watching, you know, whatever normal TV you guys watch, when you watch something like Shark Tank, you get so many ideas, and you can see, more importantly, you see how people get so emotionally attached to ideas that aren't very good, and they never move forward. So I think that actually is probably the one thing I learned most from it every single week is not just the good ideas, you know, because that's great as well. It gives me, you know, different tips on what to do, you know, for business next. But mainly it's how not to become like those people who don't get the deals. Have you ever seen the show?
Yeah, I liked. I saw Dragon's Den.
Yep.
Before I saw Shark Tank, and then I kind of liked Dragon's Den a little bit better. But yeah, I really enjoyed just that whole structure. The Prophet is another really good one.
Oh, you know what? I've been wanting to watch it. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, that one is so good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a show where this guy goes into failing businesses and kind of completely remodels the whole business from the ground up, and then generally they're successful by the end, and kind of he showcases it then, and then oftentimes he goes back a few months later and shows what's going on.
I like that. I'll definitely watch that. The one book that I've read recently that's been amazing is Shark Tales by Barbara Cochran. She's one of the hosts of Shark Tank. Which I think she might have actually gotten cut recently because they replaced her with a younger, hotter version of her named Lori Ganner. But her book is incredible. It basically, she talks about how she grew up in a small town, and she worked at she was a waitress somewhere, and she moved to New York with some guy who ended up being a total schmuck. Mm-hmm. And she started a real estate company out there, and she basically just hustled. She was like, she figured out how to make it in one of the hardest cities in the world to make it in, and how she kind of grew her empire. And she ends it with her talking about how she hustled onto the Shark Tank. She actually wasn't supposed to be picked for it, and she kind of just talked her way into it. So that's my recommended book of the week, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm headed to Berlin in 2 days. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about that.
Nice.
And the best thing about it is it was completely free to get there. So I have so many miles on my credit card reward points through dropshipping that I can basically fly business class wherever I want for free. Mm. And to me, that is like such a big benefit that I never even thought about. So basically the way it works is when people buy something on your store through your dropshipping store. So Derek, you sold about $10,000 worth of items in the last couple of weeks, and basically you're gonna charge the those orders on your credit card. When the supplier bills you, they bill your credit card, and the money's deposited in your account. So out of that 10,000, let's say 6,000 or 7,000 is your costs. So all those kind of go into points, and within, I would say, about 4 or 5 months, I get enough points where I can just travel anywhere in the world again. Mm-hmm. And I just remembered that Derek doesn't have a credit card.
Yeah, I can. Essentially, so about 6 years ago, I screwed up my credit. We don't have to go into details about that.
Okay.
But so I can get a credit card. I just need to put like a certain amount of deposit down, and I probably will once the business is at a certain point. I'll just put like a $5,000 deposit on a card and then start to use that card and get points for it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it's a nice story because that kind of just shows that even without a freaking credit card, you can make this work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot harder, right? But
yeah, I have to watch the cash flow really, really carefully. Essentially, like waiting for the money to actually hit the bank account before placing the order.
So how does it work? So for those who don't really know what a dropshipping store is like, so let's say as a customer, we go into your store and we order an item. That's a $1,000 item. Mm-hmm. How does that work?
So the way it works is Shopify takes about 3 business days to process the payment, and then ACH into the bank takes 1 to 2 business days. So generally, it's probably realistically about a week to get into the bank account. In the beginning, I was waiting almost the whole week before fulfilling the order. Now I think I'll be able to cut that down to like maybe waiting just 3 days or something. But yeah, essentially it was just like waiting for the money to actually get into the account before paying for the order and then shipping it out to the customer. And the way I'd handle it is I'd call the customer up and just kind of make a little bit of a connection, and then I'd tell them there's a little bit of a delay on the order. It'll arrive sometime late next week. Is there a specific day they prefer to receive the order? What time window would they like it? So just make it sound like it's really solid. They're going to get the item. There's a little bit of a delay, but just make a connection by phone. I think that's the main thing. So
for the majority of you guys who have a credit card, the way that it works is, instead of waiting for the payment to clear, you guys can basically just forward the email or the order to your supplier straight away. So that way, let's say with podcast mics with Audio-Technica, I would just forward the sale to Audio-Technica and say, hey, these guys ordered 5 mics. Can you please mail it to them? And Audio-Technica, what they'll do is they'll charge my credit card, my personal credit card, straight away. That way they can, and they charge me the wholesale price. So, and at the end of the month, end of 30 days, I already have the money in my account. I probably had it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and all I do is pay my credit card with the money that's in my account already. So it makes it a lot easier if you guys have a credit card. So I would say if you guys are getting started, make sure you have one with a high limit. I would say realistically, a $10,000 limit is kind of the lowest that you'd want to really make things simple. I started with that, and there's a couple times where I just kind of forgot to pay. Like, my idea was to pay every week so I can have that kind of cleared off and have the 10,000 freed up again. And then there's a couple times I just forgot, and my suppliers called me or emailed me saying, hey, your card's been declined. Do you have another card? And so now what I did was I just called Barclay Card and I said, hey, can I have a raise in my limits? And they doubled it. So now it's at 20,000. So that makes it so much easier. Now I never have to think about it because, even if you're making $20,000 or $30,000 a month in sales, as long as you're paying it every other week or twice a month, you almost never hit your limit. It makes it super easy. And the best thing about that is, so I've been making about $30,000 worth of sales per month, and that kind of equivalents to 40,000 miles. No, more than that. Yeah, 40,000 miles per month that I'm racking up on my rewards cards. So in the last 4 or 5 months, I've saved up about 200,000 miles, which is paying for my entire trip to Europe. So this is like a side benefit that everyone has to look forward to after having a successful store. I mean, it's one of those things you don't even think about. Where in the beginning, you're just happy making the profit. I'm sure this isn't even something you've been thinking about. Especially because you can't have a card yet.
Right.
But it's such a nice benefit. It's like getting 2% extra profit every month that you can only spend on travel. But,
we travel a lot.
And I really think everyone should be traveling a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's almost like it forces you to take a free vacation every couple of months. Yeah,
totally. But yeah, and it's absolutely not necessary to have good credit to get into it because it's not convenient, but it's definitely doable without it as well.
What other roadblocks do you have starting out?
Right. I was about 5 years ago, I got banned from Google from advertising on Google.
Yes.
So that was a big concern of mine, was like, okay, I'm curious about getting into dropshipping, but if I can't advertise on Google, it's really hard to build a business. So I just called them up, and it turns out that my account's not suspended at all anymore. I have no idea when that happened because I was definitely banned 5 years ago. So at some point they just unsuspended my account and never told me. So that was a concern roadblock for me, and I made sure that was taken care of before I bought the course. Let's see, what other roadblocks? I don't know. I think the cash flow was probably the biggest hurdle. Oh, I got turned down by the biggest manufacturer in the space.
Okay.
And if I'm not able to sell this product line, I probably don't have a business. And so the manufacturer said, yeah, we're not taking new accounts right now. Call us back next year. I was like, okay. But it turns out that I managed to find a distributor of theirs instead. Who I'm able to sell the products through right now. And honestly, now that I'm making $4,000 a week of sales, mostly of their products, I could probably get an account directly with the manufacturer. But yeah, it was just not really, not throwing in the towel from getting that no.
Wow. Okay. So that's actually really good to know, because I know that as time goes on and more people are signing up for dropshipping accounts. Mm-hmm. So what that is basically we don't have storefronts. We don't have a physical store on Main Street displaying products and selling products. We're an online only dealer or online only sales website. And a lot of these manufacturers, they want enough people to be selling their products online, but they don't need 50 people to sell it. They just need maybe 5 or 10 to sell it, or it kind of gets oversaturated, or they kind of just don't want to deal with so many different accounts.
Yeah.
So I would say right now it's a really good time to get in dropshipping, because there's still a ton of niches where that are available. But I would say 2 or 3 years from now, it's going to be so saturated because so many more people are getting into it, and because it works. I mean, I would say that's why so many people are getting into it, because it works. And it's going to be harder and harder to get approved by dealers. But what's nice is, if you don't get approved by the actual manufacturer, so let's say you don't get approved by Audio-Technica to sell podcast mics, you can still get approved by Podcast Warehouse, who is a dealer of Audio-Technica, but also of Sony and also of Panasonic. But I'm sure they probably take a little bit more margin. You probably don't get as good pricing as if you went straight to the manufacturer.
Yeah, I have no idea what cut they're taking, but I know I'm still making $200 to $300 an order, so I'm happy with my margins. Yeah. So I don't know what their margins are. Yeah,
but yeah, definitely. If I was you, I would do that for a few more months, and then reach out to the manufacturer again and say, hey, I'm selling your stuff anyways, instead of giving these other guys a cut, can I work with you directly?
Yeah.
And that's a really good way to get your foot in the door.
Yeah. My biggest concern with working with this distributor is that they're on the far East Coast. So if I ever have to ship something to like Seattle or California, like the products are like 300 pounds. So that'll be like a $600 shipping bill.
So are they sending it out from their warehouse, or is the manufacturer sending it from their warehouse?
The vast majority sends out from the distributor's warehouse.
Okay.
There's maybe one or two products that they will drop ship for me from the manufacturer.
So I'm curious if you can get one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And really save money on shipping.
Yeah, totally.
So you offer free shipping on your store?
I do.
And how much do these things cost to ship?
It costs between $250 to it costs between $200 and $350.
So did that worry you? How'd you get around that?
It worried me a little bit just because it was dealing with a lot of terminology I didn't understand. Like I didn't really know what freight shipping is. I didn't know what LTL shipping is. I don't know what a bill of lading is. Like all of this stuff is new to me. But yeah, basically like the dealer on the phone was like, yeah, we don't really like to ship with our own personal account because then we're liable if the product gets damaged on the way. We want you to have your own stuff and your own insurance. I was like, okay, great, no problem. So I just go online, figure it out, Google stuff.
Okay. So are you shipping on your account now?
I'm doing it through freightquote.com and through Global Trans. And what both of these sites do is they actually have accounts with a ton of different freight companies. And they'll get you like 5 different quotes at the same time.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'll do a quote search with both of those websites, and then I'll pick the cheapest one generally.
And do they have insurance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're covered.
I am covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it super easy. I'm really lucky that for my suppliers with really heavy items that they will ship on their account. And basically, I basically just told them and say, hey, I don't want, I understand you guys don't want the liability of it, but I don't want it either. And I'm basically like, I don't have a shipping account. Can I ship on yours?
Yeah.
And they've been okay with it. So
yeah.
Whenever
how much are you paying for shipping
So for my heavy items, $275 to, I would say some items $200, some up to $350.
Yeah.
So these heavy items are freaking they're heavy.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people don't realize that. Like consumers don't freaking realize how expensive shipping, a big thing is, Like let's say you're shipping a couch or something, it's expensive to ship and someone has to pay for it.
Yeah.
So and but customers are like, "Oh, it's free shipping. Cool."
One thing that this is not really related to business anymore, but one thing that really surprised me is when you think about how much of the product is really, how much of your money is really going into the product. Like if I'm spending $1,000 on the product, but $300 is on shipping, $200 is for me the profit of the drop shipper, and the dealer's probably making $100, and there's shipping from the manufacturer to the dealer is probably another $200. Like the product itself is like $300 or less.
Well, I mean that's the whole reason why our dropshipping stores actually exist, is because imagine how much that would cost if they had to go into a showroom to buy that. So let's say you weren't operating your store online, that you actually had to pay rent for a place, you had to pay electricity, you had to hire employees, you had to do TV ads to get people to come in.
Right.
How much more would you charge for your products?
Yeah, for sure.
And that would be built into the price. I mean, that is the core reason why things are cheaper online, is because everything is $300 cheaper because we're not paying rent, and we don't have to buy it first. It's just, and that's the beauty of dropshipping is, I mean, how much inventory do you have?
0.
Right? And when someone buys something, like you're in Thailand. You're going to be in Vietnam in 2 days or in a day. So, the low overhead is so low. I mean, what is your overhead?
It's probably about $50 a month.
Yeah. And that's for what?
Shopify and a phone number.
Yeah. And that's who'd you get your phone number through, by the way?
Tollfreeforwarding.com.
And do you like them?
Yeah, I've been really happy with them. Like Skype was so bad, so bad. I had a little, before I signed up with them, I called them. Their support was really, really good. They helped me pick out the exact phone number that I wanted.
Oh, nice.
And, it was really good. The whole process was
good. I used to use evoice.com, and they suck. Don't use them. Not a recommended resource by Johnny. But I'll check out toll-free forwarding. Right now, I'm actually just using Google Voice, and I'm using Skype, and they're not the best, but they work, and they're an easy solution in the beginning.
Yeah, the only downside to toll-free forwarding is that they'll forward the calls that I receive from the number on the site to my phone. But if I'm out and about, I can't actually return a call. So I have to make sure I pick up the phone. Otherwise, I have to like haul ass back to an internet connection somewhere to be able to return the call.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only downside.
Well, one thing that you can do as kind of a temporary workaround is just get Skype on your phone. Mm-hmm. And I would get a Skype number. That way it's always the same number. It's not like some random Skype number that they assign you every time you call.
Yeah.
And that way you can return calls, because Skype in Thailand surprisingly is very clear, especially if you call on 3G and not on Wi-Fi.
You're okay? I have an iPhone 4 and I can't get on 4G or LTE, so it's only 3G.
I'm just on 3G as well.
Really? Okay. I didn't think that was high enough for Skype calls.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, not video call, but definitely for voice, it's perfect. It actually sounds better than high speed Wi-Fi because it doesn't get disconnected as fast.
Okay, cool.
So these are kind of the things that we talk about, not only in person while sitting around the co-working space, but also on Anton's forums. Mm-hmm. And you are you're a very good member on there, even though you've only been on for a few weeks. Like, you've added a ton of value. Why do you post on there so much?
I think part of it is like it helps me sort out my thought process. Like right now I've made 9 sales. I actually have not calculated my profit on those 9 sales.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do an end of the month report and post it on Anton's forum. And because it's the end of the month, I'm going to put everything together. I don't know that like if I didn't have a network to be sharing information with, I might put off like calculating my exact profits for a while, but like now that I'm like, okay, I have a little, like, there's people following what I'm doing. I want to share, how was the month of July? I'm going to put together the exact shipping cost, the exact cost of the product, the exact profits. And it's good for me in my business to know those numbers, but I guess it just helps me crystallize my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So it's AntonMethod.com is Anton's dropshipping course that we're all a member of. And when you're a member of it, not only do you get access to all the videos and training course that both me, Derek, and Ben, and Michael, and all these other people took to start stores, but you also get a free membership to the private member forums where you can kind of interact with all the other members of the course. And it's very different from any other forum online. It's not like, because it's only for people who are willing to actually invest their time and money in a store. Mm-hmm. So the people on there are all actually super cool.
Yeah.
I met a lot of them now in person, and they're all super cool. I like them a lot. And the best part of it is exactly what Derek said, where it's a great place to organize your thoughts. Like, I created my progress thread when I first started, and it's nice to go back and read it again, because I can see, what I did like in the beginning to get started and where I struggled and the questions I had. But also it's a great place to help other people, which in turn clarifies it for me in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it does feel really good to be a contributing member to a community.
Yeah. And, it's I'm sure you're a member of other forums online. Mm-hmm. This is honestly the only forum I post on because...
Yeah, I think that's true for me as well. Yeah.
So, that's really about it. I mean, have fun in Saigon. And what are your plans out there?
My plans, I'm probably gonna, I'm still feeling out this plan, but I think I'm gonna actually build a team out there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think you're right. Like, dropshipping is gonna get a lot harder in about 2 years. And right now, I understand the system. It's working really well. And I just believe like when there's an opportunity to just like go full speed into it. So I want to hire a designer, hire a customer service person, build a couple of these sites a month, and like just really scale this business model.
That's crazy. I mean, I know it's going to work too, because you have the work ethic for it. You're a smart guy, and right now the iron is hot, right? So strike when the iron is hot. So,
yeah, exactly.
So for those who don't realize, not only, you don't have to settle with one store,
yeah,
which is kind of the craziest part of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like right now, let's say, okay, so what do you think realistically this store can do per month?
I think in the last 2 weeks, again, I haven't calculated the profits, but I'm guessing I've made about 1,500. Mm-hmm. So if that's average, then I'm at about 3,000 a month. I would say that it'll probably cap out at 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 5,000 in profit per month, and then in sales that would be like 30,000 or so.
Something like that.
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool. And then realistically, how many other stores can you open?
I have no idea. I think I could do. So I have my second stores already all built out, ready to launch. Distributors are on board. I just haven't launched it yet because cash flow issues.
Yeah.
Like if I get orders, I can't fulfill them yet. So I'm just like waiting.
Which is kind of it's a high value problem if you think about it.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so I've basically built 2 stores in 5 weeks, so I think I could realistically do 2 or 3 a month.
That is so crazy, man. And you know what? For the people who want to do that, it's definitely a great business model because not only are you making a couple $1,000s per store that you launch, but when you keep those open for 6 months or probably more likely a year, because then you can really show the profitability over a year. You can flip those stores. Yeah,
that's really what I have my eye on. Like a $3,000 a month store. I mean, that's nice money, but it's not life-changing money. But like selling it for $60,000 after tax, like that's definitely life-changing money. So
yeah, especially if you've built up, a couple stores per month in the next 12 months.
So I think that's where the real business model is building these assets and then selling them to other people.
Well, I'm glad that you jumped on board.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for everyone who's been kind of listening and following along. People left some really nice reviews on the iTunes store for the Travel Like a Boss podcast. So I really appreciate that because that's the easiest way for other people to find it. Also, I guess by you guys sharing it on your Facebook or on Twitter or just telling your friends to listen, that helps a lot too. So thank you guys. And Derek, have fun out in Vietnam. Keep in touch, guys, on Facebook. And that's it. Peace out, I guess.
Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, no worries. All right, see you guys.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.